Okay, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to change gears a little bit and talk about bulking and weight gain. So when it comes to bulking and weight gain, obviously, I think the most important thing you could do is address your diet and get the right amount of calories that's required to gain weight. Now, it's not just total calories, it's the source of the calories. I think that's also incredibly important. If you're eating food like burgers and tacos and high gas foods, then you're going to get a lot of intestinal bloating and you're going to get a lot of swelling. And it's going to make it very difficult for you to eat the amount of calories that you need to eat whenever you're eating that kind of food. Like if you eat food that has to ferment inside your stomach, like vegetables, high fibrous vegetables, beans, oatmeal, these kind of foods can cause extreme stomach bloating because the food can't actually be broken down in your stomach. So it sits in your stomach for hours and hours and hours trying to digest. And what happens is it starts to let gas off. Then your body says, just push it through, and it pushes it through to your intestinal tract. And then it starts causing swelling and bloating in your intestinal tract, which gives you the sensation of being full, which can cause you to be gassy and bloated. So certain vegetables and certain high fibrous foods are not good for bulking. I mean, are they good for health? Yes, but the vitamins that you're not getting and minerals that you're losing from those vegetables and certain foods, you can supplement those with supplements. So like a multivitamin and whatever other actual minerals and vitamins you need, you can supplement it through actual supplementation to compensate what you're not getting through fruits and vegetables. Now, also, the amount of calories you get is incredibly important too. You can gain 4 pounds a week by overeating dramatically, and you'll gain a lot of fat. That's not what you want to do when you're trying to bulk and gain weight. I have done that many times, and I've got upwards of 12,000 calories a day. I gained a lot of weight really, really fast, but it was all fat. Now, I was powerlifting, so I welcomed the bloat and the extreme fullness and then the excessive amount of body fat because weight moves weight. But if you're trying to bodybuild and put weight on, going that extreme is not what you want to do because it's so much harder to come back down from that than it is just to get a little bit heavier. So if you're going to go on like a 12-week bulk, you want to shoot for about maybe a half a pound to upwards of 1 pound a week. If you're getting more than 1 pound a week, you're overeating. You cannot like produce 1 pound of muscle per week. It's just not possible. So ideal, you want to gain about maybe half a pound a week, and your surplus, if you think about it, you're going to want to be about 250 calories over what your maintenance is. So the first thing you need to do is figure out what your actual maintenance is on your calories. And then from there, you need to increase it by 250 calories per day, which will give you about half a pound a week, whether it's fat or muscle. Given the latter, it's going to be more fat than muscle. But with that extra food and extra calories, you will have more energy, you will be stronger, and you will be able to push harder, which will in turn contribute to more muscle mass, and especially training in the gym harder and more aggressively. So take that in consideration whenever you start increasing your food. Don't just go haywire, and especially if you're eating the wrong kind of food, it's going to be a lot harder to get the right kind of nutrition. And what I mean by that, like if you're bulking, protein is important. You know, rule of thumb is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. But honestly, if you're trying to put serious weight on, you can even go down to like 0.7 grams per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 100 pounds, for the sake of math, you can get 70 grams of protein, and then you can get an excessive amount of carbs. 2.5 grams of carbs, up to 3 grams of carb per pound of body weight will be more beneficial gaining weight because carbohydrates are muscle sparing. Your body will consume the carbohydrates for energy and not break down muscle mass or muscle tissue to consume for fuel. You'll preserve all your muscle, and then in exchange, you'll have more energy and more hydration from the carbohydrates to push harder in the gym, which will give you better pumps and more energy and more strength while you're in the gym to actually train and push harder.
Yeah. And for me, I've never done like an actual bulk to like per se yet. Like I've gotten heavier, but never for like a workout purpose. So like when I get to that stage, it's going to be a lot different. Like trying to manage my nutrients in and out, kind of input and stuff like that, like you're saying. And like the biggest thing would be like the energy difference, like you're talking about, like going from right now being in a deficit and dealing with like the fatigue and everything that starts to come on, like after multiple weeks of training, to actually having a surplus and having like that extra energy to be able to move a little bit more weight, you know, more reps, things like that, to focus on that part of it and more of a, I guess, like bodybuilding type format kind of thing. So when it gets to that point, it's going to be interesting to kind of give that an actual try in a legit way, rather than what I usually do, where I bulk, but it's mostly just because I'm not really working out and I'm just eating terrible in general. Like, so actually doing like a more clean kind of eating thing to put on, I guess, like quote unquote clean weight over like a dirty weight, I guess. That's going to be a big difference for me. So like when it comes to that point, it's going to be a different experience, and I'm going to have to kind of adapt to it and change and look forward to the obstacles that come with it, and like overcome whatever I might have to deal with, especially with going up in food, which is typically a little bit difficult in the beginning, but after a certain amount of days, it becomes a little bit easier with that input and everything, because your body's still going to be burning. And once you start getting used to it, you'll start getting that hungry feeling again kind of thing. But you'll eventually hit, I'm assuming, like a plateau type wall where you're getting enough calories to a certain point to where it's like you just don't want to eat anymore kind of thing. So that's going to be a struggle for sure.
Yeah, so back to what I was saying, like that point that you made, but that's where low gas foods come in. And what you really want to do is you want to get like, I mean, chicken is good. Fish, not so much, not enough calories. But what you're going to want to get is you're going to want to get red meat, if you can, very lean cuts of red meat, like 90-10 or leaner. If you don't have access to where you live to like ground meat, like beef, lamb is a good option. Goat is a good option. And then like dark chicken with a little bit higher fat content, like the legs and thigh meat. And then whole eggs is also a very good source, and whole milk. And then for your carbohydrates, really, I mean, rice, like not brown rice. Brown rice is high fiber, so it causes bloating and gastro distress. Like white rice, jasmine rice, long grain rice, those kind of rices are going to be the ones that you want to eat. You want to eat as low gastric foods as you possibly can eat, so that way you can eat enough calories with cleaner foods that actually your body can utilize. And then to what you're saying about the dieting part, about the plateauing and stalling out. And then what you want to do when you start a bulk is you don't want to start increasing food like every single week. You want to increase food, give your body a chance to get used to it, because when you increase your calories, you're going to become overly full and it's going to be hard to eat. Give it 2 to 3 weeks, see how your body adapts to that diet or that calorie surplus. 2 to 3 weeks, watch what your weight does over the next 2 to 3 weeks. At the end of the third week, if you stall or plateau out, or you're not really gaining anything, increase it by another 250 calories. And then you could do 50-50, half protein, half your calories from protein, half your calories from rice or carbohydrates, and then give it another 2-3 weeks. Typically, I would err on the side of 3 weeks, and then increase it again. And what you could do is one time just increase all carbs, and the next time increase all protein, the next time increase all carbs. And the reason why I'm saying don't increase, I'm not mentioning fat, is because if you're drinking whole milk, you're eating whole eggs, you're eating red meat, you're going to be getting plenty of fat in your diet already as it is, where you don't have to concern yourself with counting the fat macros. They're going to be in there, especially if you're eating like dark meat from chicken and everything else like that. So don't stress like the little bit of fat that's in your food. I would focus more on the amount of protein, the amount of carbs you're getting. And if you don't feel like you're getting enough fat, you can add in a fattier cut of steak or beef. You could add in more milk, or you could even add butter or even olive oil to your food to increase the calorie consumption without having to increase volume of food. And you'll get more calories in a better way, and you'll actually keep your total volume down, making it easier to eat. But again, once you get to that second or third week of increasing your calories, you'll start to get hungry between your meals again, and then you can increase your calories. And then when you wait 2-3 weeks, and you'll start to get hungry again, and then you can increase your calories, and so on and so on and so on. But again, monitor how much weight you're gaining. You really don't, if you go on a 16-week bulk and you put on 16 pounds, chances are, not chances, I guarantee you, not all 16 pounds were muscle. So let's say you gain 3 to 4 pounds of muscle, and that's being super generous, 3 to 4 pounds of muscle. When you cut those other undesirable pounds away, you're going to lose some of that muscle mass. So the more fat you put on, the more muscle you are going to lose while you're losing that fat. So there's a ratio, and you want to take that in consideration as you're putting on body fat. You're going to have to lose that body fat, and in exchange, you will burn some of that hard-earned muscle up. So try not to go too far off the deep end whenever you're doing this, and increase it over time and watch your calories. What's our minute mark?
10:37.
Okay, so that's a little bit on the diet part. We're going to change gears here and start talking more about the training a little bit, and we could go into more depth in these later if people are more interested in gaining weight and bulking and stuff. We could do more videos on this topic. So if y'all have any questions, leave your questions in the comments, and I'll comment back, and we'll make follow-up videos. Okay, so as far as it goes for training, I really strongly advise not to do movements that it's going to fry your central nervous system and you can't recover from. So the more you eat, the harder you can train, and the more frequent you can train, so you can get more volume and you can get more intensity in your training. But with that being said, depending on what movements you do, you can fry your central nervous system and you can accumulate fatigue over time of training. And what this happens is it causes you to get exhausted and fatigued during your training, and it makes your workout sessions harder, it makes your recovery harder, and it makes your focus to go to the gym and the desire to be in there a lot less desirable. And then that exchange into you starting to slack off or sandbag it on your training. So what you're going to want to do for your training is I would avoid deadlifts off the floor, conventional deadlifts, sumo deadlifts, and to an extent squats. I would squat every other week. I wouldn't squat every week. If you're going to do deadlifts, do deadlifts. If you absolutely have to do them because you feel like it's a must for you, then every other week. If you're going to squat on week 1, then you deadlift on week 2. And then on week 3, you squat again. Then week 4, you deadlift again. And in the weeks that you don't deadlift, do Romanian deadlifts. The weeks that you don't squat, do hack squats or leg press or other variations of a squat, which takes the load off your central nervous system. And then to keep that in mind while you're training, because if you start to accumulate too much fatigue, no matter how much you eat, it's going to become harder to get in the gym. And then you're going to start introducing, you're going to start opening a door for injury and to get hurt. And then you don't want to get hurt and you don't want to get injured, because when you start getting aches and pains and that leads to injury, it's going to screw up your whole entire process. And then another thing when you're training too, everybody's different. There is no right way or wrong way to train. You need to find the routine that works for you by experimenting and doing multiple different routines over time. And I don't mean every week. I mean, if you're going to bulk up, train a style for 12 weeks, 16 weeks. Jot down, make notes, log it in a journal, and see how your progress was. If you don't feel like it was good, change it up to a different style, and then try that for 12 to 16 weeks, and then compare notes and see which one you did better on. And then watch what your body does, because I've mentioned this before. My legs respond to training them once a week. If I like to train my hamstrings and legs on separate days, but I train my legs once a week. My hamstrings get trained, my quads get trained once a week. My arms, twice a week. My shoulders, my back and chest, twice a week. Certain muscles respond better to more frequency, and some respond better to less frequency. So pay attention to what your body's doing. If you're making progress on your legs and you're training them once a week, but your arms aren't catching up, try training them twice a week or 3 times a week or every other week. You know, like you're going to have to experiment with your body. And unfortunately, this is something that's going to take time, and it's going to be a process to learn what works best. But one of the training programs that I really love to do when I'm gaining weight is I love picking certain exercises that I can progress every week on. So I'll start off doing sets of 5 for 20 reps. And I'll pick a weight, let's say V-bar press down or a rope press down, because everybody knows what that is. And I'll let's say start with, I'll do 2 warm-ups, and then I'll move up to my working weight, which would be 70 pounds. Then I'll do 5 sets of 20. If I hit all 5 sets of 20, next week I go up on weight. And if I hit all 5 sets of 20 again, I go up in weight. And then the week comes that I don't hit all 5 sets of 20. I don't care if I miss it by 1 rep. Next week, I'm repeating that weight until I get all 5 sets of 20. And I'll do this on the smaller muscles, shoulders, chest, arms. The bigger muscles, back, legs, I don't train them like that. I never really benefited from training them like that. So that's just a little foresight. When you have a surplus, you can push more out. But when I train like that, I only do probably maybe 2 exercises, 3 per body part, about 3 to 5 sets per exercise, just depending on what my surplus is and how far I am in my training. But it changes as it goes. So,
yeah. And so, like, if you're going in there, you're working out, you're trying to do like different exercises, like you're gonna want to also look for ones that you enjoy doing too. Like, just because a program has something in there and say like you've tried it before, you don't really get that feel, you can still look into like swapping that out for a movement that's still going to work the same muscle, but that works better for you. Like nothing, like no program is actually so solid in stone that you have to do those exact movements no matter what kind of thing. Like you still got to do what is best for you, which is again something that's going to take like some trial and error, experimenting kind of things, and take some time. So like for me, doing the stiff-legged deadlifts with the dumbbells, never really done it before, but after trying them last week, that's something that I feel works a lot better for me than doing like the Romanian deadlift with the barbell. Like I get a much better feel out of that. So I'm going to lean more towards doing those now over doing the Romanians with the barbell, because like the feel is just better for me. And that's something that I didn't know until giving it a try. So just because something's written down somewhere or anything like that doesn't make it like that's the only option you have. You still have that option to kind of tweak it to your own specifications and liking. So don't always feel like that, like I'm saying, like because it's written down, like that's the only way you can do it. Like if I change it at all or whatever, then everything's going to fall apart on it kind of thing. Because it's not. You just have to, like I said, make sure that whatever you're swapping, like you're not going to swap squats out for barbell curls and expect to get the same results kind of thing. But, you know, if you swap squats for another leg movement that still hits the quad and everything like that, then you should be okay kind of thing, and just move forward from there. Like, and again, find those movements, like you're saying, that aren't going to overly tax the central nervous system, because hitting that point of fatigue early, like especially most people are going in there doing squats or deadlifts very first exercise out the gate kind of thing, and you pull or squat like you're as much as you can, as many reps as you can kind of thing, the rest of your workout is going to be detrimentally affected, because now like you've kind of burnt yourself out on that one exercise. You're not going to have as much to give to the next ones kind of thing. And that can also affect you on the other side of it, because you could also go in there thinking like, oh, well, I still have all this stuff to do afterwards. So I'm going to do it, but I'm kind of like going to halfway do the exercise, because I got to make sure I have the effort for the rest of them kind of too. So you want to be careful with that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because that's something that I see a lot, where people, they anticipate the rest of the workout, and instead of focusing on what they're doing right then and there, they focus on what's coming up next, and then they sandbag the movement that they're on to have energy to do the next movement, and then they sandbag to have energy to do the next movement, and so on and so on. So that's another really great piece of advice. Like when you go in there, don't worry about what's coming next. Worry about what you're doing right then and there. Give it 100%. Like the intention when you grab that barbell, that dumbbell, that cable, whatever it is that you're doing and how you're training, your 100% focus and intent should be to make that muscle grow right then and there. And then when you move to your next exercise, the same intent and focus goes to that movement. It doesn't matter what's coming next. If you fry your legs so hard on your first movement and you can't walk no more because your legs are so jelloed, good job. You take it easy. Don't call it a day. You know, you don't have to keep pushing after that, and then you're going to build your endurance and you're going to build up into it. You know, the next time you come in, you're going to be able to push a little bit further than that and do a little bit more. I'm saying don't go in there and obliterate your body. Like if you go in there to warm up and you do 100 reps with your warm up, don't sit there, like don't pick a weight that you could do 100 reps on your warm up. Obviously, if you're going to do your warm up, pick a weight that's reasonable, 15, 12, 20, 10 reps. And then do 2-3 warm-ups, and then go into your working sets and go aggressively. Also, that's another thing too. Whenever you're training for size and strength, don't rush your rest. Be 100% ready for your next set. So like if you're trying to cut weight or lean out and you're resting 30, 40 seconds between sets, when you start to bulk and try to put size on, take longer rest periods. It's not a race. If you have to take 3 to 4 minutes between your sets and you could push 100% on each set by resting 4 to 5 minutes. Rest 4 to 5 minutes. You will get more out of your sets. You will get more out of your lifts. If you rush it from 30 seconds to 30 seconds to 30 seconds, and then that 60 pounds starts to feel like 80, then 100, then 150, and you're barely getting any reps out of a lighter weight whenever you could have gone up to 150 pounds and still got 12 solid reps by resting longer, take longer rest and, slow your pace down a little bit and get as much as you can out of every rep and every set. It's not a hurry to get in there. And then if you have to scale back the amount of sets and reps you're doing to be able to have enough rest to really fully hit that muscle hard with what you're doing, then what you would do from that is you'll increase your frequency and decrease your volume per session. So you'll decrease your volume, your volume and your overall time in the gym, but you'll increase your frequency. So that way you could train it more often, but you give yourself enough time between sets to really annihilate it. And then if you're doing that, you could drop it down to 1 exercise per body part per training session, especially if you're training it twice a week. You can do barbell curls on Monday, and then on Thursday, you could do dumbbell curls. And then next week you come in, you could do hammer curls. And that's still 3 movements over 3 workouts in a week and a half versus doing 3 movements on one day once a week. So you could get more variety and more intensity and more frequency with the same amount, but spread out instead of all concentrated into one movement. But we'll pick this up and we'll do another touch-up video if anyone has any questions and stuff like that. I think we're going to end it right here because we're kind of drawing this video out a little bit, and there's a lot more I could go into depth about this stuff. And try to do a crash course and cram as much in here as I possibly could in this one video. But leave comments, leave questions. If you disagree with anything, tell me what it is you disagree about, and then we can go further into it. Other than that, thanks for watching, guys. If you made it this far in the video, if you'd like to leave a like, go ahead and leave a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel and you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe. We appreciate it. If you don't want to like it, you don't want to subscribe, then by all means, don't. And also, did you have anything else you want to add to it, or are you done?
Sounds good.
All right, guys, we appreciate it, and until tomorrow.
Yep. Catch you later.